And we're rolling. Good afternoon, Julie.
Good afternoon, Christine.
Yeah, this is December the 3rd, 2022. Happy to see you again.
Happy to see you.
Yeah, I wanted to speak today. Now, we touched on it about how the ID and stuff was being stolen in other videos from previously. But I'd like to particularly talk about the hassle that you guys have to go through when you're constantly getting your ID, which I'm kind of concerned about. Now, I understand you've been having to wait for, what ID are you waiting for right now?
I'm waiting for my for my SIN number and my birth certificate.
Yes, and this is how many times have you had to reapply?
Oh my God, 10, 20 times or maybe more.
And this is constant.
Constant, yeah.
And every time you go into the shelter, it seems like your ID is constantly disappearing.
Exactly, yeah. They want to fraud me somehow, and they got caught. Because now Revenue Canada told me that they fraud me for 20,000 or maybe more. So yeah, so they're in for something. Yeah.
Okay.
They're in trouble.
So Revenue Canada or whoever does the
fraud department.
The fraud department is now questioning
exactly
all the why all this ID and that is disappearing.
Exactly. Yeah. For my case, anyways, I'm talking about me. Yeah.
Okay, because like I said, you've been in there for 20 years on the streets, so this is why I'm saying, how can you have your ID constantly stolen? So this is what I wanted to check in, and who does the paperwork for the ID?
This is my God, H&R Block on Montreal Road.
No, this is not for the Revenue Canada, not for your taxes. I'm talking about your birth certificate.
Oh, sorry, this is what's the name? Oh my God, what's the name of it? It's not Revenue Canada. It's
well, I'm understanding that some of the outreach and that for the people.
The outreach van. Yes, sorry. Yes,
is the outreach van also doing?
Yeah, yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Okay, have they put in the latest one?
No, they didn't. But no, they didn't. But I went to Bronson Center and to do it.
Okay, so this time, but you have done it with the outreach people.
Never. No, for my housing only.
For your housing only.
Yeah, only. Yeah.
Okay, because I've heard of some other people having trouble getting ID and that interesting things for. Literally, like in our friend Diane's case for Revenue Canada for her taxes, they were insisting that she needed her long form for her birth certificate, and that didn't make any sense. So
not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
And then someone else from the same outreach said, "No, you don't need that." So it's like I'm questioning.
Back and forth, back information all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm very much questioning what is actually trying to take place here because it seems very confusing. But it sounds like, who told you that the fraud was department from the places for you get your birth certificate and that? Who told you about that?
Well, it was this lady, a professional woman at H&R Block, and she told me I was a victim of fraud. About 2 years ago, and since then, well, and now they got my file on investigation right now. So.
Okay, so H&R Block was doing your file?
Yes. Yeah.
So they're saying
the manager is saying that I got fraud. Yeah, I was a victim of fraud.
Okay, so it sounds like H&R Block and that are doing the fraud as well as the shelters and stuff, because I was referring to the shelters today. But you're just getting your ID and stuff stolen from the shelters.
That too. Yeah.
Constantly.
And the fraud comes from Revenue Canada too. All my taxes. So they fraud me. The shepherd fraud me. For 40,000 at least, or maybe more. Okay,
so they you had to file something that from the shepherds to Revenue Canada. Was that it?
Exactly.
So whatever they were, probably, I think from what I'm understanding, you have to pay so much or something to be in a shelter off your checks?
No, they fraud me. The shelter fraud me.
How did they fraud you? In what way?
Over my IDs. So it's been going on for at least 20 years of my life. So they fraud me for 40,000. So yeah. So that's why I'm a victim of fraud. Yeah, which H&R Block I found in a computer, and so they found that I was a victim.
Oh, H&R Block found out that you were okay. So they didn't deliberately fraud you. So they found out there was discrepancies in whatever the shepherds wrote.
Exactly. For 20 years of my life, yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Because I know how important it is to have ID. Now, myself, when I was 16, my parents gave me my ID and told me I make sure to memorize my SIN number because I was going to be with me for the rest of my life, not to lose the card. And the same thing with my birth certificate, not to lose it. Now I'm going to let my viewers know that I'm a senior. I'm just going on 70 years old. And I've had that birth certificate and my original SIN card, both the originals, since I was 16 years old. Never out of my sight. And yet I'm finding so many people here losing their, or well, not losing it. It seems that they're just being taken, which is not right.
No.
So I'm questioning, like, why are the authorities noticing this or not?
No, they don't give a damn. Really, they no.
No. I'm talking about the government.
Oh, sir, yeah, they're getting involved. In my case, personally, yes, they are.
So the government's noticing that something's wrong in your case.
Exactly.
I'm just saying, with so many cards and ID being stolen, why is the government not noticing this?
Yeah.
So
I'm with the fraud department right now.
So you're working with the fraud department as well.
Exactly, for Revenue Canada. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's for Revenue Canada, but for our taxes and stuff. But what is happening with your birth certificate and your SIN number?
Now they're telling me that then the worker she's missing my God, some information about me, and I don't believe it. So it's been almost 8 weeks, and I didn't get nothing yet from the mail. So.
Okay, so which worker is this?
This is Samantha on Ronson Center.
So what information is she missing on for your ID?
I have no idea. It's all it's all by mail, and so they're missing some information. I have no idea.
She sounds like a volunteer or something at the center that does this.
Exactly.
And this is what I'm finding. I think it's just volunteers and people at the shelters and that are doing it, which I feel that because we're with the homeless, because of the mix up in their lives and stuff and the mental illness and that, I feel more like it should be someone right from for the birth certificates should be there, that or Service Canada should have a place just for you people to go in. The same thing with our tax people there for Revenue Canada, that they should be doing all this, not just volunteers. And this might help sort out the situation. So they really...
I hope so.
No, they should have an office specifically for the homeless, because we have so many homeless on the streets with ID missing, people fraudulently using the ID. Now I'm just going to...
And frauding us all the time.
And frauding you.
Yeah.
Because people do not realize how important it is. And like even this morning I said, well, it's interesting because I was showing you, you didn't know what a provincial ID card was.
Not at all.
Till I showed you.
It's brand new for me. It's brand new.
Yeah, till I showed you what a provincial ID card, which is excellent. But even if you fill that out, you have to have a proper address. And so if you so it would show up if you could get a card, but could you get a card through, say, one of the address of the shelter? Because I live in an apartment, no problem. I have an address. This is where I live. But it would be one way of keeping track of the homeless, is being able to get a provincial ID card as well. And that should be done through Service Canada. And all the stuff that for the homeless through the government agency should be flagged as people who are homeless, so we can keep track of who's homeless, who's not homeless as well, because the numbers is just constantly increasing. But like I said, I showed you my card this morning, and you had no idea that it looked like a driver's license.
Yeah, it did.
But it's not a driver's license.
No, it's not. No. It's a completely different.
And I mean, to even just get it, I had to have my birth certificate. Plus, I had been married twice, so I had to go to the province and actually get copies of both my marriage certificates to prove who I was and how my name went from my maiden name to my first husband to my second husband's name, which I'm on now. So and that's what's so confusing, is like that's very straightforward to go get that. But how do you get all that stuff? That's why Service Canada should be advising you people. Or if you're mentally ill and you can't do it, then a worker should be going down to talk to someone from Service Canada directly.
Yeah. It's true.
To get the information. Because I will be talking to Diane there later, because she's having quite the time. I think she's pretty much sorted it out mostly with Revenue Canada now. but they did it from one of the shelters there, and she's missing 2 years taxes. They say they can't do it, and she can't understand how they did this for last year's taxes for her either. So I've insisted that she get the copies right from from the Revenue Canada. She's got paperwork, and I said, well, just have them send it to my address here so you have the paperwork. Then you can take the paperwork right into our H&R Block and see if they can sort out the mess. Because during the pandemic, everybody was just scattered. They didn't know what in the world they were doing, trying to get the taxes done. And it was very, very confusing for a lot of people.
It is.
So this is what, and then, like I said, I will just give you a good example how important our ID is and how important it is to respond that your ID has been stolen or lost. Have you reported your card stolen or lost?
Yes, so many times at the shelter. So many times I reported,
Right to the place where it's been...
at City Hall.
Yeah.
Block.
Yeah.
Bronson Center, everywhere. So yeah. And I've been fraud too for my taxes for 40,000.
Because getting a hold of birth certificates and stuff, you can use it to use it for fraud to try and set up ID and that. And this is what has me concerned, because people talk about all this fraud. Well, when you've got that many birth certificates over and over again, how many of them are you? But in my case, being a security guard, I'm just going to mention something that happened to me that was extremely important. Was that when they made security guards uniforms at that time, they didn't put pockets in for us women on our uniforms, so we had no place to carry our ID or our wallet. So I left it in my coat pocket, both my ID and some money, and my wallet, of course, in my coat pocket. It was where we went in, and it was at the mall, and only the manager had the keys. And there was 3 security guards, so all 3 of us had the key to get in. Now, no one could have got in other than the 3 of us. In half an hour, I had to come back because I wanted to get some money to go grab a bite to eat, to find out that my money had been stolen and my security ID had been stolen, literally. And what I had to do is, and within half an hour, I had to report that right away to the police that my security ID had been stolen. So, and one of the guards said, well, we questioned the other female guard that was there and the other male guard, and they had not seen anybody else go in, and I certainly hadn't been in that half hour, and neither had the mall manager been in. And the only one that was in the room was the female guard during that half hour, and she said she saw nothing. But the other male guard that was with me, he was an immigrant from Jamaica, and his work before he left Jamaica, he was a detective on the Jamaican Police Department, and he looked at me and said, "She's lying," the other female guard. But we found out that she had been transferred from another post because there was problems with her. And then, but we had to let it go, but I had to turn around and say yes to the police. I had to do a full police report on it, because that was a security ID could be used for really bad things if they wanted to. So what ended up happening was I let it go. I ran into this woman 2 years later, and this is interesting. She was high, so I got talking to her because she didn't really recognize me, but I don't think she recognized me as the one that she might have stolen my ID from. But she told me how she was stealing ID from people so she could be sleeping in parking lots and that. And the thing with my ID was that she was close to my height, same color hair, wore glasses. We could have passed off even as sisters, so she could have possibly used my ID. And she was even coy enough to tell me where she was actually hiding her ID, all this ID that she was stealing, in the old houses and the wide baseboards. She was putting the ID there. So our hunch was right. But on the other hand, because I had a rare last name, because of my husband at the time, I was using his name, my name just kept cropping up all over the place, and I don't know if it was from my stolen ID or not. So it was in question. But also, not to mention, my first husband also married another girl with my first name, which caused a lot of confusion. So I just seemed to be like, did somebody just shove me through a colored photocopier and just produce a bunch of copies of me? It was a very interesting time. But I really appreciate, again, talking to you today, and I'm hoping we can get this straightened out, because this is something very serious that the people on the street should not have to deal with losing their ID or having it constantly stolen. There has to be some way that we can flag this so that our government or the government can follow where all this ID is apparently going. It's extremely important. Okay, and I really thank you and appreciate you talking to me again today.
Thank you very much, Christine.
Okay, and I just wanted to let our viewers know as well just how important ID is.
Yes, it is. So please give us the help that we need.
Okay, thank you very much, and I appreciate you talking to me. Bye-bye.
Have a great night. Bye-bye.